Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. Continuing on with college football week 12. We got 4 games on the board. Gonna go through all 4 in this video. Let's go.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
First up, we got North Texas on the road at UTSA. Roadrunners are catching 1 or 1.5. It's pretty close to a pick 'em. I guess UTSA +1 would probably be the consensus right now, but it's kind of all over the place. Total sitting up at 72.5. 72.5 total for this one. And if you're familiar with these two teams, you would understand why. So let's get into it, and we'll start with the North Texas offense. Look at the FEI ratings. Pretty decent mismatch here. North Texas is 44th in OFEI, UTSA 104th in DFEI. UTSA's defense has actually been crazy good against the run, 4th in yards per carry allowed, 3rd in success rate per rush, 61st in effective rush. The problem is North Texas is a pass-first offense all the way. Chandler Morris transferred in from TCU to play quarterback. He's having a pretty good year. They're 19th in yards per pass attempt, 36th in success rate per dropback, 15th in effective pass. It's actually crazy how good this UTSA defense has been against the run this year. I almost don't even believe these numbers. So on the season, I took out the Texas game because obviously UTSA versus Texas, it's not a valid data point. They're obviously going to get smoked. So minus the Texas game, on the season, they're allowing under 78 rushing yards per game, just 2.4 yards per carry allowed, 30.1% success rate per rush. So they've been absolutely elite against the run. Their numbers against the pass, not nearly as good. Not practical joke terrible, though. 275.8 passing yards allowed per game, 7.88 yards per pass attempt, 35.1% success rate per dropback. So it's not like their pass defense isn't awful. But before we even get into the matchup for Chandler Morris, look at the mismatch on the line of scrimmage here. UTSA 1st in college football in line yards, 2nd in stuff rate. North Texas hasn't been generating push in the run game all season. So the run is definitely not going to be there for North Texas at all. UTSA also has a pass rush, but North Texas has been pretty decent in pass protection, so not sure how effective the pass rush is going to be. And actually, another thing I wanted to add here when it comes to UTSA's defense, their numbers at home are excellent. Now, it may be because of the competition, but on the season, they're allowing just 20.8 points per game at home, 30.5% success rate, just 4.43 yards per play. So in their home games, they've played excellent defense, but against Kennesaw State, who's practically an FCS program, an actual FCS program, FAU, who's been terrible, and Memphis. So Memphis is decent competition, and they did play decent defense. Well, actually, Seth Hennigan was able to throw the ball, but so they have excellent defensive numbers at home. 3 of their 4 games at home were against very easy competition. As you can see, their numbers on the road not nearly as good. They played much tougher competition. So I'm not sure how much I read into these splits, but this game is at home. So if you like UTSA here, definitely doesn't hurt. You don't hate to see it. So we've established that North Texas is not going to be able to run the ball in this game. And I mentioned how does it really matter? North Texas is a pass-first offense. They're actually 6th in passing frequency on the year. So this is an offense that's looking to throw the ball all the way. I will say the passing attack for North Texas hasn't looked quite as crisp recently. Through their first 5 games, they were averaging over 348 passing yards per game, 9.1 yards per attempt, 48.5% success rate per dropback. In their last 4 games, you can see the yardage is still there, 361 yards per game. Success rate is down to 42.2%. Yards per attempt drops from 9.1 to 7.3. That's a significant drop. So although this is still a dangerous passing attack, not nearly as efficient as it was early in the season. And if you look at UTSA's numbers against the pass in the last 5 games, it's really not that bad. They're allowing 313.6 passing yards per game, 35.9% success rate per dropback, 7.86 yards per pass attempt. Look, by no means am I saying UTSA is going to stop North Texas offense. I'm not saying that at all. They're going to score points. The total's at 72.5 for a reason. I'm just saying I don't think this is as crazy as a mismatch as a lot of people think. But what about the matchup on the other side? Let's talk about the UTSA offense here. At first glance, this looks pretty evenly matched. I mean, UTSA offensively, 99th in yards per play, 116th in success rate. They can't run the ball at all. They haven't been able to run the ball at all season. North Texas, a pretty bad defensive team, 108th in yards per play, 92nd in success rate. Bad against the run, even worse against the pass. Like North Texas, UTSA is a pass-first offense all the way. They actually lead the country in plays per game. They're first in pace, 23rd in passing frequency, and this North Texas defense is not playing well right now. In their last 4 games, they're allowing 37 points per game, success rate over 49%, over 6.7 yards per play. And if you're thinking, oh, well, Kyle, there's some tough competition in there. Memphis, Tulane, Army. Okay, Memphis, Tulane, and Army. I'll give you those 3. What about FAU? Because they've been terrible all year. Cam Fancher, who's really been struggling this year, he went off against North Texas. 22 of 30, 351 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns a pick. A 197.9 passer rating is by far his best game of the season. The other ones aren't even close. This is by far his best game of the year. So North Texas defense couldn't even stop Cam Fancher and FAU. In case you haven't watched any UTSA football this year, they got themselves a quarterback in Owen McCown. We didn't really know what to expect this year with Frank Harris being gone. He's been the quarterback. Frank Harris has been the quarterback there for like 10 years, it feels like. So first year without Frank Harris, we weren't sure what we were going to see. Owen McCown's been excellent. Over 2,300 yards, 6.9 yards per attempt, 20 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions, an A turnover-worthy play rate. He protects the ball. He moves the chains. And this Roadrunner passing attack seems to be heating up. In their last 3 games, they're averaging over 363 passing yards per game. 38.8% success rate per dropback actually isn't great, but over 8.1 yards per pass attempt. So against this North Texas defense that seems to be getting lit up by everybody, including Cam Fancher and Florida Atlantic, I think UTSA is going to score, man. I like the matchup for UTSA offensively, which is why I'm on the Roadrunners here. In my opinion, the wrong team's favored. I think UTSA should be laying 1.5, 2 points in this one. So I'm on the money line, plus 100. Roadrunners, money line. Next game. Let's move out to the Mountain West. We got Wyoming on the road at Colorado State. Rams are laying 9.5 in this one. Total sitting at 46.5 pretty much. I do see a couple 47s. So let's get into this matchup, and we'll start with the Wyoming offense against the Colorado State defense. At first glance, it looks like a tough one. Wyoming's offense has been pretty bad this year. 106 in yards per play, 129th in success rate. This is a team that wants to run the ball. This is a team that hasn't been able to run the ball. They're 96 in yards per carry, 116th in success rate per rush. Passing attack with Svoboda has been really bad this year. They recently made a quarterback change, and that's kind of the story with the Wyoming offense. It's, do you believe in this newly found success with the new quarterback, or did they just play a couple of bad defenses? I'll show you in a second. But regardless, this is going to be a tough matchup because this Colorado State defensive front has been solid all year. 67th in yards per carry, 66th in success rate per rush. Like I said, Wyoming is an offense that wants to run the ball. They're 38th in rushing frequency. This is always a program that wants to run the ball, dating all the way back to when Josh Allen was there, then Andrew Peasley. This is an offense that wants to run first. You can see the last 2 games, it looks like this Wyoming offense caught fire. You do have to look at the opponents, though. Through the first 17 games, just 17.1 points per game, 4.27 yards per play, success rate at 30.4%. This offense was looking absolutely terrible. Then they make the quarterback change, and all of a sudden, they're scoring a shitload of points. 37 points per game, success rate over 50%, almost 7 yards per play. I'm talking about a night and day difference here. Caden Anderson, that's the new quarterback, by the way. In the last 2 games, 35 of 53, 524 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. So no question, looking way better than Svoboda. It's only been 2 games, but no question it's been way better. That being said, like I mentioned, look at their opponents. They played Utah State and New Mexico. Of the 134 FBS teams, those 2 defenses are rated 131st and 132nd. So they quite literally played 2 of the worst defenses in the country. And 2 defenses in the bottom 4 of 134 FBS teams. So that makes it really tough to get a read because on one hand, we see offenses get rejuvenated with a quarterback change all the time. That happens all the time in football, the NFL level, college level. That's not weird for an offense to have a completely new energy with a new quarterback. On the other hand, Wyoming just played 2 of the worst defenses in the country. So is the offense different now, or did they just play 2 really bad defenses? Definitely tough to make a call there. And like I said, this Colorado State defense has been tough. On the road at Colorado State is so much different than their last 2 games against Utah State and New Mexico. This defense has been tough against the run all year. In their last 7 games, they're allowing just 4.22 yards per carry, 43.1% success rate per rush. They've been especially tough to run on at home. Under 100 rushing yards allowed per game, 38.5% success rate per rush, under 4 yards per carry as a team. So we know this Wyoming offense wants to run the ball. On the road in Colorado State, I don't think they're going to be able to. That being said, Colorado State was just getting thrown on by New Mexico and Nevada. Those are not dangerous passing attacks. In fact, you can sarcastically say they're dangerous passing attacks because they're almost the opposite of that. If you believe in this new quarterback, Caden Anderson, he probably will be able to throw the ball in this game. I mean, New Mexico and Nevada, like I said, those are not passing attacks. Caden Anderson was making throws in the last 2 games. Granted, they were against bad defenses. I actually think the kid's going to make some throws. I mean, admittedly, I don't know a ton about him, but he's been making throws the last 2 games. Colorado State's been getting thrown on. I think Caden Anderson is going to make some throws. I think Wyoming's able to score some points in this game. But what about on the other side of the ball? What about the Colorado State offense? Well, for starters, this offense looks nothing like I was expecting it to look. They've been running the ball and controlling the clock, which is just... Last year, Fowler, Nicolosi, and those receivers, the tight end was good last year. They were throwing the ball all over the field. That is not what we have seen this year. In fact, the passing numbers look terrible for Colorado State. 74th in yards per pass attempt, 102nd in success rate per dropback, 105th in effective pass. Remember, this is the offense that went back and forth toe-to-toe with the Buffs last year with Shedeur Sanders. They can't throw the ball at all this year. This has been a run-first offense all the way. 36th in yards per carry, 51st in success rate per rush, 69th in effective rush. Now, the good news for Colorado State here is Wyoming's defensive front has been a mess. Wyoming's defense as a whole has been a mess, but specifically against the run, they're 131st in the country in yards per carry allowed this year. 73rd in success rate per rush actually isn't that bad, but 122nd in effective rush. Look at their last 3 games. Granted, San Jose State's got a pretty cool offense this year. Utah State has a good offense. New Mexico has a surprisingly good rushing attack. So they've actually played 3 surprisingly electric offenses in the last 3 games. But still, they're allowing over 245 rushing yards per game, 48% success rate per rush, 8.76 yards per carry. And like I said, this Colorado State offense has been run first all the way, and they've been pretty consistent with it. In their last 7 games, they're averaging just under 5 yards per carry, 44% success rate per rush, 183.9 rushing yards per game. They've been especially good running the ball at home, 5.25 yards per carry, 47.8% success rate per rush in their home games. So I have no doubt that Colorado State's able to run the ball in this game, but I don't really trust Fowler Nicolosi based on what he's shown us this year. And in my opinion, 9.5 is too many. I think Caden Anderson is able to make some throws. I think this is a 1-score game. I don't know if I have it in me to put my money on Wyoming because I had Wyoming as a top bet in the opener this year, +7. They got absolutely smoked by Arizona State. And since then, I mean, Wyoming's been so bad this year that they're just a team I'm not in a hurry to put my money on, but I do think they cover this number. Wyoming +9.5 next game. UCLA's on the road at Washington. Washington laying 4 points at home here. Total sitting at 46.5. Pretty much across the board. I do see a 47 out there. But mostly 46.5. So let's get into this one, and we'll start with the UCLA offense that has been red hot recently. This is an offense that likes to throw the ball, but you know what? They've been running the ball recently as well. If you look at the matchup here, it may look like a really tough one for UCLA because Washington's got elite numbers against the pass this year. 5th in yards per pass attempt, 12th in success rate per dropback, 10th in effective pass. So you might look at this graphic and say, Kyle, how is UCLA going to move the ball? The weakness of this Washington defense is clearly stopping the run, which you can run on Washington. 89th in yards per carry allowed, 111th in success rate per rush. Look at UCLA's rushing numbers on the year, 116th and 132nd. So you might look at this graphic and say, Kyle, how is UCLA going to throw the ball? How are they going to move the ball in this Washington defense? Well, hold on. Like I said, first of all, UCLA's run game has arrived. In their last 2 games against Nebraska and Iowa, so it's not like they played cupcakes, 5.18 yards per carry, 176 rushing yards per game, 38.7% success rate per rush is not good, but in comparison to how they were running the ball, or how they were not running the ball, I should say, through their first 7 games, just 2.54 yards per carry, UCLA has been getting the run game going. So I expect UCLA to be able to run the ball in this game. But also, when it comes to Washington's numbers against the pass, I mean, I know they're elite, and this is a great pass defense, but they did rack up a lot of those numbers in the first 6 games, playing a lot of teams that can't throw the ball. An FCS program, Eastern Michigan. Washington State's a run-first program all the way. Northwestern, that was the Mike Wright Northwestern. That's before they even made the quarterback switch to Jack Lausch. Rutgers with Callie McManus, and Michigan. In those 6 games, they were allowing just 125.5 passing yards per game. I mean, practical joke numbers. Since then, in their last 4 games, yes, they're still playing great defense against the pass. They are seeing some tougher opponent. Well, Iowa can't throw the ball, but Indiana, USC, Miller Moss just got benched as well, but Penn State. So they're seeing some tougher offenses, and the numbers still look great. but not nearly as elite as the numbers from the first 6 games when they played a bunch of offenses that can't throw the ball. So basically what I'm saying here is this Washington defense against the pass is great. It's not completely unstoppable. It's not nearly as good as the full season numbers indicate. And like I said, Ethan Garbers in this UCLA passing attack is on a warpath right now. In their last 4 games against Minnesota, Rutgers, okay, Rutgers defense is bad, Nebraska, and Iowa, over 274 passing yards per game, 53.4% success rate per dropback is excellent, 8.25 yards per attempt. Ethan Garbers is showing us that we can trust him to make throws even against great defenses. We can also trust him on the road. In the last 2 road games, one was against Rutgers, but the other one was against Nebraska. 301 passing yards per game, 58.8% success rate per dropback, 9.45 yards per attempt. He's actually been better in his last 2 road games than at home. So even though Washington has this elite defense against the pass, the numbers look insane, I still expect Ethan Garbers to make throws, and I also expect UCLA to be able to run the ball in this game. I like the matchup for UCLA's offense. But what about the matchup on the other side of the ball? We got the Washington offense against the UCLA defense, and obviously this is where we find some more value on the Washington side. This has been an excellent passing attack with Will Rogers, 29th in yards per pass attempt, 20th in success rate per dropback, 23rd in effective pass. They're 38th in yards per play against the UCLA defense that can't seem to stop anybody from throwing the ball. 77th in yards per pass attempt allowed, 126th in success rate per dropback. So this should be a good matchup for Will Rogers. And yes, I'm a little bit worried that in the last 4 games we've seen the passing production dip for Washington. Through the first 6 games, they were averaging almost 300 passing yards per game, 52.6% success rate per dropback, 9.18 yards per attempt. In the last 4 games, we've seen those numbers come crashing down. Just 212.3 passing yards per game, success rate down to 40.1%, just 6.15 yards per pass attempt. Look at the opponents, though. Iowa, Indiana, USC's even playing some great defense this year, and Penn State. Understandable. They played some elite defenses. UCLA's defense, especially against the pass, is most definitely not elite. In their last 5 games, they're allowing 8.62 yards per pass attempt, 46.6% success rate per dropback. We saw Kali McManus and Rutgers throwing the ball in this defense. So UCLA, as much as I like the offense right now, I do not trust this defense, especially against the pass. This should be a really good opportunity for Will Rogers to bounce back after a few shaky games, especially because the problem with this Washington offense recently, the reason they've been struggling to throw the ball, is the pass protection. They're 120th in pressure rate allowed, 111th in sack rate allowed, 127th in pass blocking grade. So this pass protection has been a problem, but here's the thing. This is not the 2023 UCLA defensive front. Those guys are gone. Latu is gone. Latu's on the Colts. Murphy's on the Vikings. So those NFL edge rushers that UCLA had last year, they're gone. This year, they're just 121st in pressure rate, 126th in pass rush grade. So Will Rogers should have time to make throws, and the weather in Seattle is supposed to be fine. In fact, it's supposed to rain on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, but clear skies on Friday, partly cloudy. So on Friday night, the weather should be good. I expect Will Rogers to have a good game throwing the ball, which points me towards an over. I actually can't believe we're getting this at 46.5. I bet this early in the week. I expected the number to go up, but it's not. So, I don't know if I'm missing something. I would have this total closer to 50.5. So 46.5, I'm definitely taking the over. A little sketched out that the total hasn't moved, if I'm being honest. But I'm on the over in this one. As far as a side goes, I personally don't think it should be more than a field goal based on how UCLA's been playing recently. So I would lean towards UCLA at 4. But I think the better bet is the over here. I placed this one. Give me the over, 46.5. Next game. Last game of the night, we got Houston on the road at Arizona. Looks like Arizona's laying pretty much 1.5 across the board. Total sitting at 46.5. Let's get into this one, and we'll start with the Houston offense. If you followed Big Ten football this year, you know that this offense has been bad. 117th in yards per play, 128th in success rate. They try to run the ball. They're not very good at it. They haven't been able to throw the ball basically this entire season. Now, I know a lot of people, when it comes to this Houston team, they're pointing right here. Zion Chris is now the starting quarterback. He's made 3 starts. Houston is 3-0 straight up and 3-0 against the number in the 3 games he started. So a lot of people are pointing here saying, hey, this Houston team's a lot better with Zion Chris at quarterback. here's the thing. The offense is still trash. In Zion Chris 3 starts, they're averaging just 22.7 points per game, just 5.17 yards per play, 38% success rate. Maybe slightly better than the Donovan Smith games, but I don't even know. I mean, it's not like Zion Chris makes the Houston offense good. It's still a very, very bad offense. And you might be thinking, well, Kyle, who cares? They're playing Arizona. And that's true. Arizona's defense got lit up back-to-back games. In their last 2 games, they allowed 43.5 points per game. So 97 points allowed. Oh, I'm sorry, 87. That's bad math. 87 points allowed in their last 2 games. 46.2% success rate, just under 7.8 yards per play. Look at the rushing numbers against Arizona in their last 2. 257.5 rushing yards allowed per game, 44.5% success rate per rush, 6.36 yards per carry. But here's the thing. Look at the opponents. West Virginia and Central Florida, 2 of the best rushing attacks in the Big 12. In fact, those are both top 25 rushing attacks in the country. So maybe we cut Arizona a little bit of slack for the last 2 games. In fact, if you look at the previous 4 games before that, this defense wasn't good, but it wasn't practical joke bad. In the 4 games before those 2 against Utah, Texas Tech, BYU, Colorado, they're allowing 28.3 points per game, 5.87 yards per play, 45.9% success rate. As far as on the ground, 4.19 yards per carry, 45.6% success rate per rush. So again, not that Arizona's defense is good, but the last 2 games, that's not a great sample size for analyzing this Arizona defense against the run. They played 2 very good rushing attacks. This defense is not good, but it's not terrible. In fact, the last time we saw Arizona play a bad offense that's probably on the same level as Houston's offense, week 5 on the road at Utah, they held the Utes to 10 points in the game, just 5.28 yards per play, 37.7% success rate. So although Arizona's defense has looked terrible in the last couple weeks, the last time they saw a bad offense, they looked pretty damn good, and that was on the road at Utah. This one's at home. So don't be surprised if Arizona's defense actually looks pretty good in this game. Again, Houston's offense, even with Zion Chris at quarterback, is not good. But what about on the other side of the ball? What about Arizona's offense against Houston's defense? Well, Arizona's offense has just been so disappointing this year. This is supposed to be a dynamic passing attack, one of the best wide receivers in the country. You got Fafita coming back with a great freshman year. Just 63rd in yards per pass attempt, 90th in success rate per dropback, 36th in effective pass. They're matched up against a Houston defense that's been pretty solid all year. There's a couple bad games in there, but as a whole, Houston's defense has been pretty good. They're 40th in yards per play, 28th in success rate. Look at their numbers against the pass, because that's all Arizona does. They're 37th in yards per pass attempt, 55th in success rate per dropback, 21st in effective pass. Like I said, all Arizona does is throw the ball. They're 10th in passing frequency so far this year. Fafita having a very disappointing season. 2,300 yards, 7.2 yards per attempt, 13 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, a C big time throw rate, a D plus QB rating. With McMillan back at wide receiver, we were expecting this to be some explosive passing attack, and it really hasn't been that. That being said, it does kind of look like they're turning the corner a bit here. Through the first 7 games, 253.4 passing yards per game, success rate per dropback under 40%, 7.11 yards per attempt. In their last 2 games against West Virginia and UCF, 8.45 yards per attempt, and the success rate is up to 44%. So we've seen Fafita show signs of improvement. Now, West Virginia has the worst secondary in the Big 12, or certainly one of the worst secondaries in the Big 12, and UCF's defense has been pretty susceptible to the pass as well. And the UCF game, we should mention, they were down 3 or 4 touchdowns basically that entire game. I should know. I had Arizona plus 6.5. Wasn't even close. So a lot of the Arizona passing production in that game came against cover 4 probably. They were down big. I don't want to say garbage time because it was earlier in the game, but UCF had a huge lead in the game, and I feel like it's important to take note of that. And like I said earlier, this Houston defense has been great against the pass all year. On the season, they're allowing just 7.03 yards per attempt, 42% success rate per dropback. Look at the last 2 games. 34.4% success rate per dropback, just 5.95 yards per pass attempt. So last 2 games, they played great defense against the pass. And yeah, one of those games was against Utah. And actually, the other one was against Kansas State. They're a run-first offense. They don't really throw it. But still, coming off back-to-back games where they played great defense against the pass. Now, if you're looking to take Arizona here, what I want you to do is look yourself in the mirror and say, why? No, I'm just joking. If you're looking to take Arizona here, I have something for you. Houston's actually got thrown on in their last 3 road games against Cincinnati, TCU, and Kansas. 231 passing yards per game, 58.3% success rate per dropback, 9.77 yards per pass attempt. So although this Houston defense has been very good against the pass, the last 3 times they went on the road, they definitely struggled to stop it. So maybe Fafita getting his shit together, back-to-back games where he was making throws, maybe I could see it. Personally, I didn't bet this game. If I was to do it, I would just take the under 46.5. I think Houston's offense is pretty terrible and Arizona's defense is undervalued. And on the other side, I don't trust Fafita at all, and I do trust this Houston defense. So if I was to bet this game, I would take the under at 46.5. As of right now, I don't have a bet on it. If you want to see all the bets I personally have open for the weekend, head over to KyleKirms.com and click on Open Bets. You'll see all mine as well as everyone else on the staff here. Also, if you sign up to Sauce Network Plus, it comes with access to the Discord, and you can participate in the weekly betting league. $150 on one of these trophies go to the winner every single week. So if you're interested, head over to the website and sign up. Live show, 4 p.m. Eastern time. We'll go through these 4 games. We'll go through the NBA slate. Also, a lot of college basketball on this Friday night. So if you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. Let's have ourselves a great weekend. Please remember to bet responsibly. Talk to you in the Discord.